guys, I'm Kel, and this is 5 Days of Something. So recently, well not recently, in my other video, I talked about what retailers mean, and I was talking about how I do not like my own race sometimes, especially when it comes to shopping. And I have a story or two to tell you guys. So this one actually recently happened. So what happened was, she comes in and she's Filipino, she's talking to me in Tagalog, whatever, so I'm helping her. And she asks for a discount, and I'm like, oh, well, I can't give you a discount. You only have to have your 10%, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, okay, sure. First off is that her transaction was really, really hard to do it because her gift card only had like $3 in it, so the rest was like 74 cents. I don't know, it was just really, really weird, and it wasn't going right, so we had to do it a couple of times for it to actually work. So I do have to admit that I should have done this first, which I will admit is my fault, but at the same time she kind of overreacted to it. The first time she gives me her Visa gift card, I didn't ask for an ID, which is my fault. I should have asked, but it slipped my mind and I know I shouldn't have done that, so I will take full responsibility for that. So she buys the second item and she uses another Visa gift card, and then that's when I finally asked, may I see your ID? And she's like, well, you didn't ask me for the first one. And I'm like, oh yeah, because it was a gift card. I try to like cover it up. She's like, well, this is a gift card too. And I'm like, oh, okay, really sorry about that. I'm sorry I didn't ask, but we do have to ask for ID. So she starts getting mad and she's like, well, why didn't you just ask the first time? Like, you know what, like, I forgot. So I guess as for us Filipinos, we think that if we have another Filipino with us, they're supposed to back us up. So I had another Filipino co-worker working next to me, and she was asking me questions like, are you Filipino? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you're a disgraced race, blah, 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 like saying all these things, and like, it was just like, whoa, like, calm down, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask for your ID, like, sorry. And she was just like, oh my god, you're Filipino, I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, really? So I was just like, you know what, just keep smiling and just do what I have to do. Then she asks my coworker next to me, and she's like, are you Filipino? He said, no, I am American, which basically ticked her off, like, to the extreme. She was just like, you are not American, you are Filipino, blah, blah, blah. Are you ashamed of your own race, blah, blah, blah. First she turned it into me not asking for ID, then she turned it into a whole race thing, which was like, they aren't happy of their culture, like they're not Filipino, they're claiming that they're not, blah, blah, blah. So my second experience wasn't like face-to-face, like hands-on. It was actually through the phone. This was from my other job before I had this current one. So I'm on the phone and this lady calls and she's like, oh, I have this item, blah, blah, blah. I would like to come in and return it. And I'm like, well, dude, if you return it now, you're only going to give the sale price. And she's like, what's the sale price? I'm like, well, it's 50% off. And she's like, are you sure? And I said, well, let me ask my boss to make sure. And so I asked my boss and she's like, no, it's actually 30%. So this lady gets mad. She's like, what? Like, she just starts going off. She's like, what the hell? You're giving me the wrong things, telling me this, telling me that, telling me it's 50% off when it's actually 30% off. You need to I hope you get fired. What is your name? And she was just like going off. She's like, Raquel, I'm gonna get you fired. With that being said, she called me a lot of words, and then she hung up. Apparently, the next day she shows up. I wasn't working that day. She shows up, and my manager tells her, like, it's actually 50% off. Well, those are some horrifyingly awesome stories of me being in retail. So if you guys have any stories that you would like to tell me, leave them in the comments below or make a video response. I'd like to watch that. That's pretty cool. With that being said, I will see you guys later.